So in some ways, this video has absolutely nothing to do with how to record or mix, but hey, it's my channel, right? But seriously, I think by the end of this video, you'll see why what I'm gonna talk about has a lot to do with the quality of anything you create, and that definitely includes your audio work. I remember a little while ago inside a Facebook group for audio engineers, there was someone who was starting threads and he was commenting on this Facebook post like every 10 or 15 minutes, while at the same time saying that he was really deep into mixing a song. So he's apparently mixing a song, but he's also commenting on Facebook every 15 minutes. And you see this all the time on social media, right? People posting, OMG, this mix I'm working on is so good, or the opposite, they're posting about all the struggles and frustrations that they're having while they're mixing, and they're engaging in these long social media dialogues, again, while supposedly mixing. And when I see that, all I can think is, yeah, if you're on social media every 10 minutes, your mix is gonna suck. In fact, I believe that this thing is killing your mixes. Not too long ago, I ran a live virtual mix stream day where some of my VIP coaching members could virtually, over a Zoom call and audio sharing, they could sit in with me for a session for the entire day as I mixed a real song from start to finish. I actually did this a couple times. And one of the coaching group members said that his biggest insight was the focus. He was like, I found it shocking how you just sat down at 9 a.m. and aside from lunch and a couple 5 to 10 minute ear breaks or stretch breaks, you just focused on the song. You just mixed. There was nothing else happening, just mixing. And that was his biggest takeaway. And he started trying to apply that to his work. Now, it's crazy that a concept so simple as when you're working on something, you should focus on it is such a surprise to people, but that's where we're at today. And when it comes to mixing faster and getting stuff done, by the way, yes, of course, your skills as an engineer, your experience, your workflow, that plays a huge role in how fast you can mix. So does just ignoring all the crap that is constantly distracting you. Some quick facts for you on this. There's been a lot of studies put out on the impacts of task switching on your brain and on your productivity that basically say, when you're working on something, every time you switch and interject that with something else, AKA what most people call multitasking, but if you're, let's say, writing something or reading something or mixing something, and then you stop to respond to a text or you stop to check an email or a notification, something like that, well, then you have to start all the way back at the beginning again in terms of getting back into the flow state, the creative state that you are in. So you're constantly resetting that. And I think a lot of people actually don't ever get into that creative zone at all because, again, every 5, 10, or 15 minutes, they're getting interrupted by something else. The idea that you can productively jump back and forth between these different things is actually a total myth, and that's been proven. There was another fascinating recent study that just came out that showed that just having your phone nearby, like on the desk, even face down, or even just in your pocket, significantly reduced the cognitive ability of people compared to those who were taking the same test with their phone out of reach in another room. That's pretty crazy. Now don't worry, I'm not just gonna rant here. I actually am gonna give you some tips on how to build better habits and kind of help this problem. But I believe this is a huge problem in our society today. We have these apps that are literally engineered to take as much of our focus and attention as possible, because the more time and attention we pay to these things, then the more advertising we see. Now, even spreading this message in some ways is a little bit against my own personal business interest. I mean, I have a YouTube channel, I publish videos on here, I run Facebook ads, they're actually pretty important for my business. And when I publish videos on here, I hope that you'll watch a lot of it so that YouTube will recommend more of my videos to you and to other people. However, in the long run, I know that I only succeed at this if you succeed, and that's why I believe it's important to talk about this. Now, you can watch documentaries like The Social Dilemma on Netflix. There are a lot of good books like this one, Digital Minimalism. They'll tell you more of the scary stats behind this stuff. But the short version is that it's making you more anxious, less productive, affecting your brain's ability to focus on anything for more than 3 minutes at a time, and it's making you hate people that you would normally probably really like in real life. So what should you do about it? Well, I'm gonna tell you some things that I've done in my life to help me with this problem. Not that I'm perfect, but you can decide if you need to start implementing some of these tips to your own life. Now, some of these might feel extreme to you, but if you want to have a good life, if you want to create things that matter, then you have to shift and become a producer and not a consumer. That's a handy play on words for us. So my first tip, this is a really easy one, is just to throw your phone in the back of the room when you're mixing and working on something. Put it out of sight, not even within arm's reach or within your line of sight, not in your pocket. It should be in the back of the room or just in a completely different room. Likewise, on our computers, we have email and messaging and text and all this stuff too. So you've got to make sure that you either disconnect your Wi-Fi entirely while you're mixing or recording, or at least put it into do not disturb mode. Again, the point is that when you're working, you're working. Tip number 2 is to delete, yes, delete all social media apps off of your phone. Seriously, I do not have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Messenger, or any other social media apps on my phone at all. And I haven't for the better part of 2 years now. Now, if you're really hooked on these apps like most people, and you might not even realize how hooked you are, when you do this, you're gonna feel really uncomfortable for about 2 days. But then after that, a switch will flip and you'll feel like a 50-pound weight was lifted off your back. So just try it out. The worst thing that can happen is after 2 days you download the apps again, but I think if you give it enough time, you're never gonna wanna touch them again. I'm not saying that you never use these tools at all, I'm just saying that you get them off of your phone so that you can make your habits more intentional. Tip number 3, turn off all notifications on your phone. For me, I only get a buzz or a ding for new text messages or phone calls. That's it. And I don't really get very much of either, to be honest. For example, email, a huge time suck for a lot of people. I don't get any notifications for new emails. There's no buzz, there's no lighting up of my screen. I don't even have the little badge on the icon that says how many unread emails I have. Nothing. These notifications, these dings, these buzzes, these little red badges, this is like a drug for us. We are addicted to this stuff. Just get rid of it. Because that one simple move of getting rid of notifications, let's say for email, it completely changes everything because it puts you in control. It means that whenever you're checking your email, it's because you are intentionally checking your email for a purpose, for a reason, instead of being controlled by just wanting that dopamine hit of seeing what's new. And you can do this across the board for all the apps on your phone. No notifications. I mean, even for business apps, like for example, I use Slack to communicate with my team for my business. Well, on my phone, I don't even have notifications, not even the little badge on the Slack app. That means that if I need to communicate with someone on my team, or if I need to check if there's messages, I create that time and I'm consciously thinking, okay, I have a minute here, I can check in for messages, and I do that intentionally instead of being distracted by it. Tip number 4, just build better habits. Don't look at your phone first thing in the morning, and don't let it be the last thing that you look at night either. There are some days where I don't even pick up my phone till 10 or 11 a.m., and those are usually my most productive, most satisfying days. I mean, how awesome would it be if you woke up, had some coffee, read a book, went into your studio, and started mixing a song, and didn't even look at your social media or your email until lunchtime? I guarantee you probably have missed nothing of any importance whatsoever, and you would get a heck of a lot more stuff done. So look, I know I'm kind of on a rant here, but I think this is really important for you. And look, I'm not totally anti-internet or modern technology or social media. Some of these tools I actually use quite a lot because I know it adds value, like this YouTube channel, for example. With the exception of Instagram, I think I've come to the conclusion that that app is pretty much 100% worthless. It's not only a net negative for you and society, it's actually, I think, just a 100% across the board negative. So that one I really dislike, but there are a lot of other tools that can add value, like our members only Facebook group, for example, for our course members. I love that group, and there is a ton of value that gets exchanged there every day. That's good. But the tip again is to use it intentionally. That means I rarely go to facebook.com to see my news feed. Instead, I bookmark the URL directly into that group so that I'm purposeful. And my last point is that it might be tempting to be nonchalant and think, yeah, I don't spend that much time on it. And look, for most of you, the problem probably isn't that you sit down to mix and then you end up spending 6 hours on social media. It's really not like that for most of us. Instead, it's more like death by 1,000 cuts. It's the 1 minute here to check that message, it's the ding here, it's checking your email there, it's the text message here, and it's all these little moments of 1 or 2 or 5 minutes at a time that end up just destroying your productivity and the quality of your work. And I believe if you want to create anything worthwhile, including recording, mixing, producing records, then you've got to take this seriously. Otherwise, it's going to run a lot of your life without you even realizing it. If you're with me on this, please drop a comment below. Share it with your friends if you think they need to hear this message. And remember, just be intentional. Don't be controlled. Produce with these tools. Don't just be a mere consumer, and make sure that you're setting aside time and dedicating focused time to do deep work, which is also a pretty awesome book. Now, if you like this kind of content, check out this other video here about the only true key to success. Except if you need to just get to work, switch this off and get to work. All right, take care.